The sitting room was alive with quiet play. Berry was stacking up smooth wooden blocks on the rug. He placed them delicately with the tips of his paw, occasionally admiring his work as he saw his castle's turrets and towers take shape. Floyd lay on his tumblington nearby, pushing glass marbles along the edge of the rug, rolling them over the tassels. Each marble held a stripe of colour within, one yellow, one pink and one green. Millie Moonbeam sat cross-legged by the window, folding a scrap of paper into a neat little boat, which she'd float on the pond in the garden later on. Roscoe was on the floor too, manoeuvring his monster truck over the obstacle course he'd set up with yoghurt pots, scrunched up newspaper and cardboard tubes. His whiskers were a quiver and a quake with the sort of concentration he normally reserves for eating cress sandwiches. For a while the only sounds were the soft tap of wood on wool, the clink of marbles and the faint whistle of the breeze through the open window as it fluttered the curtains. And on that breeze came the distant cluck-cluck of hens that were a-doing of somewhere down the lane. Berry paused, wooden block in his paw. "Do you hear that?" he asked. Roscoe lifted his head. "I do." Floyd rolled onto his side. "That's chickabiddy business," he said thoughtfully. "Morning business." Millie Moonbeam peered out of the window. "Mr Bramblewick's hens," she said. "They always sound busy after breakfast." Berry's ears tilted. "I was thinking about the little chick," he said. "The one from yesterday." Roscoe put down his monster truck. "So was I." That was all it took. They gathered their coats, smoothed sleeves, checked buttons, and stepped outside into a day that felt already well underway. The lane smelled of warm stone and hay from the meadows. Sunlight flickered through the hedge leaves, dappling the path with shifting shapes that looked almost like stepping stones made of light. A spider's web stretched between two fence posts, bejewelled with dew that glimmered and winked as they passed. Berry stopped to watch a shiny blue-black beetle daintily tiptoeing over a gap in the cobbles in the path. Floyd crouched to examine a feather caught in a bramble, iridescent and speckled with bright eyes of white. Caratina noticed the different greens along the hedge. "That one's a sleepy green," she said, "and that one's more awake." When they reached Mr Bramblewick's gate, they found him already there, bent over a small wooden crate, humming softly to himself. He straightened when he saw them, brushing straw from his shirt sleeves. "Well now," he said, "that's good timing." Inside the garden, everything looked freshly tended. Paths were swept, the apple tree's fallen leaves gathered into a neat crescent, and beyond it all stood the hen house, solid and low, roofed with weathered wood tiles and edged with pale straw. And the smell, warm feathers, clean straw, sun-warmed timber, and the faint earthy sweetness of grain. The hens moved about with deliberate calm. One scratched, another pecked, a third paused to fluff herself into a round, comfortable bundle of feathers. Their colours overlapped and shimmered, rust and rye, cream and cinnamon, umber and honey, each feather settling exactly where it meant to be. Then there was the chick. It appeared suddenly from beneath a broad russet hen, a small golden spark with wobbling twig-thinned legs and a determined expression. It peeped once, then set off in a tiny loop before scurrying back under her wing again, vanishing except for the briefest flash of yellow fluff. Berry clasped his paws. "Oh, look at that!" Mr. Bramblewick chuckled. "That one's got opinions already." He crouched beside them, resting his hands on his knees. "They don't stay still for long," he said. "Best thing you can do is let them wander, just far enough." Roscoe nodded. "Like thoughts," he said quietly. Mr. Bramblewick smiled at that. "Exactly so." They watched as the mother hen shifted her weight, feathers settling with a soft hush-huff sound. The chick emerged again, bold now, inquisitively pecking at a speck on the ground. "It followed her home yesterday," Millie Moonbeam said. "Yes," Mr. Bramblewick replied. "She's a good one, that hen. Knows her way. Knows when to wait." He stood and opened the hen-house door just a little, letting them peer inside. The air within was dim and golden, lined with straw pressed flat by careful feet. It smelled safe, lived in, just right. "I come out here first thing," Mr. Bramblewick said, "before the day starts asking questions. I collect the eggs my hens lay." Berry nodded. "That's a good time for collecting eggs." Inside the cottage, tea was poured and oat biscuits shared, crumbly and comforting, that tasted faintly of honey and warmth. Conversation drifted easily. How many chicks there were, how fast they grew, how some days simply needed watching rather than fixing. When they finally stood to leave, Mr. Bramblewick put 4 smooth brown eggs in an old cardboard egg box and handed it to Roscoe. "They'll be nice poached for your breakfast tomorrow. They're to thank you for noticing yesterday." Roscoe inclined his head. "That's very kind. Actually, we were already looking." The walk home felt fuller somehow, as though the lane had picked up new details while they were away. A cat stretched in a patch of sun. A burst of laughter escaped through an open window. Somewhere water sloshed in a bucket and a mop slopped down on a kitchen floor. Back at the cottage, the afternoon settled in. Windows were opened, herbs were watered, fruit was washed and peeled and sliced. Nothing hurried, nothing pressed. As evening softened the edges of the day, the bunnies gathered with warm milk and quiet yawns, friendship ears in downy paws. Outside, the hens murmured themselves towards sleep. All was snug. All was well. Night, night.